First of all, when we went there, I was on crutches. I still have a torn tendon on my left foot. I was in a cast and crutches, and my right foot was broke. So I basically couldn't walk. So I walked in the door. We walked in the door. We waited the wait time wasn't that bad. We waited probably about maybe an hour or so to be seen. And we walked into the young lady's office. I sat down. My caseworker, Tony, stood up. And, you know, immediately I could tell just by looking at the young lady that it wasn't going to be easy for me. She basically asked me why I was there, and I was trying to explain my story, but every time I started to explain the reason I was there, she was cutting me out, telling me, you shouldn't be here, you should be at another place. And I said to her, but I went to the other place, and Tony wasn't with me when I did. I went to the other place, and they told me I had to come here. Now, I waited at the other place 3 hours, and they told me I had to come and apply to where she was. We had already been to court, by the way, and I had a court document saying that they needed proof that I was actually applying for services. That's how it ended up at the first place. And she was asking me questions, and every time I would answer, she would, you know, basically attack me, go into attack mode. She made me feel as though I was wrong for being there. I was trying to explain to her the reason I got into the situation I'm in. She basically stood in judgment of me. What I mean by that is she said, I can't understand why this happened to you. And she was just really, really rude, and her body language was just very abrasive. She was just not nice at all.
Did she ever try to establish, you know, whether or not your current, regardless of the circumstances that brought you there, whether your current financial situation qualified you for a one-shot deal?
The only time she offered to help is when my caseworker, Tony, said to her, who is your supervisor? And at that point, she took the paper that I was actually holding, and she looked in the computer, and she saw where I had been to the other location. She said, you have to go back there. She kept telling me, you have to go back. And I said, I went there, and I explained to her again, I went there. Every time I said I went there already, and they told me to come here, she said, no, you have to go back. But it was the way she was saying it. It was a situation where I actually just wanted to put my head between my legs.
And so what would happen to you if you hadn't had help from University Settlement or the second caseworker?
I think I would have sat there and cried. More than likely, I would have just walked out of there, and I probably would have been evicted. And my children, I have 2 children, we would have been homeless. I really think that that's what would have happened, because Tony stepped up with University Settlement, and he asked the young lady for her supervisor's phone number. I don't know if I would have done that because I was in so much pain as it was, and I had already been where she told me to go back to, and I don't think that I could have physically or emotionally went through all that again. I think it would have been a lot worse if I had not had help from University Settlement. And I could only imagine that people that do go there on their own and don't have, you know, support from an agency, I think they just walk out, and I think that's not a good thing for the people that actually need help. I think it would have been a lot worse for me. And, you know, you're faced with situations like that where you have to actually, you know, just say, okay, I'm here, and I'm going to sit, and I'm going to wait. And then you finally get there, and you feel relieved, only to leave out of there thinking, I just sat here all this time, and I have no help. They made me feel worthless, helpless, you know, they judged me, and now I don't know what I'm going to do. So it's not a good situation to be in. It's not.